Alright, hey there guys, so today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different video. What I'm going to be doing is telling you guys a story actually, which I think is pretty interesting because basically how I got into Call of Duty and how I got to where I am today. And without this story, I probably would not be doing YouTube without this story. It's a pretty important story, and hopefully you guys enjoy. I'm just going to be playing, Domination on Nuketown, and other games I'm sure will be in this too, but if you guys just want to sit there and listen, it's not anything you have to watch. But basically, so where my story begins is way back whenever Black Ops 1 had first come out, and I was over at my one friend Christian's house, and I was over at his house, and he puts me in a private match, and he goes, alright, so what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you this map called Nuketown. Now way back then, I had no idea what he was talking about, none of that made any sense. We had been playing campaign a little bit because it was his birthday and it was a sleepover. So basically we're all playing campaign, having a great time at this sleepover, and he puts me in a private match and goes, alright, you're going to be playing on this map Nuketown. And I go, okay. I was like, ooh, I wanna be able to beat him. Like, if I can beat him, because like I knew he played Call of Duty and that he was like good, I guess, because back then I didn't really know too much, so I was just like, oh man, if I could beat Christian, like, that would be amazing. I wanted to be able to beat him, but I didn't know anything about the game. I didn't know the controls. So that gives you guys a little bit of an understanding, like, how I didn't know anything about this game. I knew that it was called Call of Duty and it was a game about the military. So now that you guys have a little bit of background knowledge, we go into a private match, and he picks Nuketown, and he goes, alright, now this is the smallest map in the game. And I said, okay. And I spawn in the back of one of the houses, and I'm like, alright, I see that I'm in a garden, and it was actually right here. I spawned here, and I'm looking up at the sky, and I was like, wow, like the graphics are so good. Now this is back on the 360 Black Ops 1, and I was like, wow, the graphics are so good, this is so cool. And I'm like looking up at the sky and stuff, and I didn't know what I was doing, and he comes back and he kills me. And I was like, alright, so that's what it's like to die. And he's telling me, okay, now you hit X, but I didn't hit X soon enough because I didn't know what he was going to tell me to do, and then he told me to hit X to respawn, and I was like, what does that mean? And he just kind of looked at me and snickered, and was like, well, so basically respawn is how you played the game. And I was like, okay, and that didn't make sense at the time, but it does now. And I'm sure, as most of you should know, if you play Call of Duty, respawning is just how you, like, once you die, like right now, I hold X to respawn. So that's all that is. And basically he's telling me, okay, so whenever you die, you just hit X. And you're probably going to be hitting X a lot, so get used to it. And he's showing me that certain buttons do certain things, such as X and respawn. And he told me, and X means reload. And I was like, wait, didn't you just say X means to respawn? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, it means to reload now? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And he's like, it's also to pick up a weapon. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's throwing all these things at me. And I don't know what he's talking about. I'm like, okay, like, I don't know why I pick up a weapon, but he's telling me that it's to pick up a weapon, and he's telling me what different controls do, throwing all this at me for my first time. And all I wanted to do was look at the sky on Nuketown. That's all I wanted to do. So I'm walking around with my head up in the air, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I was basically just trying to kill him, and every once in a while I would get one lucky kill on him, but for the most part he completely dominated me. And it was just for me to learn the controls, basically, because that's all I did, pretty much. I learned the controls. Then I had some of the controls down, and I was like, wow, this game is really awesome. I was like, I really want this game. And he's telling me, like, okay, yeah, you just go GameStop and get it. And like, I already knew that because I've been playing video games. Like, this wasn't my first video game. I finally get Black Ops 1, and it's, I would say, halfway through its lifespan. So I go and I pick up this game. And basically, I don't know anything about it. I just know what Christian told me. And I mean, as you guys know, that what he told me wasn't a lot. I knew how to shoot. I didn't even know how to aim, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, that's all I knew. Oh, and so I forgot to mention, I didn't have a 360 either. I had an Xbox original, but I mean that wasn't a 360. So at the time I was like, ooh, I'm gonna need this new console too, and I'm gonna need to learn like all kinds of stuff. But the reality was it's exactly the same as the original. It's just a different controller, like a little bit, and a different console, and basically it's just a different way to turn on a game, and that was pretty easy to get used to. So at this time, I had two friends who were both my age and had this game. And they had had previous Call of Duties too, so they were both very good at this game and knew what to do and like how to play it and all the controls and everything. And my one friend would always play with me and like show me like different spots and how to do certain things and glitches and stuff like that. Because like back then it was like, oh, if you found a glitch in the map, and it could just be like, you could stand here and see this, that would be considered a glitch. Like, oh, you can camp here and do well. Like, okay, that was a glitch back then. So he would show me all that kind of stuff, and basically just overall he would help me out with the game. And so I remember playing my first match, and funny enough, it was on the map Nuketown, and I was telling him, I was like, hey, this is the one map I've actually played in this game. And he went, good, because you're gonna need that map knowledge in the game, because like you better be good enough to like play with me, because he was really good. And so I was like, oh, now I tried to impress Christian and beat him, but there was no way I was gonna do that. So now I need to impress Kenny. And I remember I went 3-12, and I remember that because I had a -4 KD at the end of the game, and that was very bad, he told me, and that I probably was not ready for online because I didn't understand everything yet, so I should probably play this thing called combat training. I had seen it before, but I didn't really know too much about the game, so I was just like, alright, I need to go do this thing called combat training, which I don't even know what that is, but he said I have to do it to be good, and I wanted to be good, so the drive to do it was awesome. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go grind combat training, and then I'm gonna be the best player. So I go and I get on combat training, and I'm like, alright, so basically players, and I had it set so it was the maximum amount of bots against me, and I had them set on recruit, and I was like, alright, so there's all these players against me, and basically all I have to do is just kill them, so it's like target practice. But the thing is, they're on recruit, so it's not at all like multiplayer. So I get on, and I vividly remember I thought that the Stoner 63 was the best gun ever, if you guys know what that is. I thought it was the best gun ever, and I would always put extended mags on it, and then Kenny told me what perks to put on because he obviously knew. I mean, he was the pro, right? So Kenny's telling me what to put on, and like, okay, if you use this perk, it does this, and this is the perk you want to use. This perk doesn't do anything for you, blah blah blah. He's telling me all this stuff, and I'm taking this all in and trying to understand. And I go into combat training, and I remember. I'll show you guys. Right here, if you look on your screen, I would sit here and shoot people who stood there. And I put a claymore there. And I would just camp in this building, shoot people. If the claymore blew up, I had to watch my back. That's pretty much all I did. And I put extended mags on so I could stand there forever. That's basically how I played. So like I told you before, my drive to do this was very high because I wanted to be like one of the people in my friend group who was really good at this game. So I put in a lot of time in grinding out combat training, and I got to the highest level I could, which in that game it was level 50, and combat training is not something you can prestige in, so I didn't ever prestige in combat training. I just made it to the highest level, and then I thought, wow, now I made it to the highest level, I'm going to be the best player on multiplayer. All I need to do is go jump into a multiplayer game.